Okay, I think we left off at number 17, and I tried to record this one other time and figured out that the pen doesn't want to cooperate while I'm recording. So you can see that it works just fine when I'm not recording. So I worked through these problems. 17, I started by solving 6y plus x equals 7 for y. Started by subtracting x from both sides. And gave me 6y equals negative x plus 7. Then I divided all terms by 6. So I ended up with a slope here of negative 1/6. And then I solved the second equation for y. I started by moving the y term to the left. So by adding 5y to both sides, I ended up with 5y plus 16 equals negative x. I then subtracted 16 from both sides, which gave me 5y equals negative x minus 16. And then I divided each term by 5 and ended up with a slope of negative 1/5. Negative 1/6 and negative 1/5 are not the same, and they are not opposite reciprocals, so these lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular. Same situation on 18. When I solved 3x plus 2 equals 5 for y, I ended up with the slope of negative 3 over 2. When I solved 4x plus 5y equals negative 22 for y, I ended up with a slope of negative 4/5. Nothing the same about these, except the sign, but they're definitely not the same slope, so these lines are definitely neither parallel nor perpendicular. So for 19, 20, 21, 22, I stopped trying to type and just used the pen. So I solved this equation, 2x minus y equals 1 for y, by subtracting 2x from both sides and then dividing by negative 1. Negative divided by negative was a positive, so this first equation ended up with a slope of 2, positive 2. The second equation, x plus 2y equals negative 1, I subtracted x from both sides and then divided both sides by 2, which gave me a slope of negative 1/2. 2 and negative 1/2 are opposite reciprocals, so these two lines are perpendicular. On 20, I didn't have to solve anything here. These are already in slope-intercept form, so you just identify the slopes. But notice, please, that while 1/5 and 5 are reciprocals, they are not opposite signs. So these are not perpendicular. They would only be perpendicular if the signs were different on these. But they're both positive, so these are neither parallel nor perpendicular. 21. These two lines, when I solved them for y, did come out to be the same slope. So I started fraction busting on the first one, multiplying everything by that denominator of 2. So I ended up with 4y plus x equals negative 4. Then I subtracted x from both sides and divided everything by 4, which gave me a slope of negative 1/4. In the second equation, I started by subtracting 2x from both sides and then dividing everything by 8, which gave me a slope of negative 2 over 8, which reduces to negative 1/4. So with both of them having a slope of negative 1/4, I can see that they are parallel lines. 22. I wanted to actually show you this on the graph if I can get the pen to work for just one last question, please. So 22 tells me that JK is the line y equals negative 1. Y equals negative 1 right here, but it also equals negative 1 at all other points there. Color wheel of death. Directly to the left or right of that. So our line y equals negative 1 is going to be a perfectly horizontal line that goes through negative 1 on the y-axis. So negative 1 on the y-axis. So negative 1 on the y-axis is right here. And the line will go. That's just fascinating. You know what? Forget that. Let me erase that. I'm going to use the insert. Hopefully, maybe it'll work. Erase. There we go. Okay, so if I can insert a line here, then we can just see this with an actual straight line. Insert. Shapes. Oh, it's going to work this time. Thank you. Didn't work last time. All right, so I can put a line on this graph. Maybe. Yes, I can. All right, then I can rotate this line around. Not the graph. Unbelievable. Okay, so if I can grab this line, then I can move it around and show you the line of y equals -1. And maybe it'll let me do that now. It's sort of letting me do it. All right, you know what? Never mind. We'll have part 3 of this video.